Hello everyone, it's Elaine. Thank you so much for joining me here today on my YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed this Mother's Day inspired card. So to start off with, I'm using the Avery Elle 3 Hearts die and I'm cutting that out on a piece of A2 sized heavyweight white card. And then I'm going to grab another piece of card and this is going to go behind my heart windows and I'm going to ink blend on this panel. So I grab the die and place it between those layers and I use those little tiny holes to help me make sure that I've got things lined up correctly. And then I'm going to use my pencil just to lightly trace around the edge. Then once I've done that, I'm then going to grab my Peacock Feathers Distress ink to start. And I'm going to use the makeup brushes that I got for Christmas. And I'm going to start lightly ink blending on some colour. So I have got a piece of scrap card off to the side. And now I'm going to start lightly ink blending that colour on. I want my hearts to fade from darker to lighter, top to bottom. So there you can see I'm concentrating my colour at the top of where those hearts are going to be. To get more control over the colour, I do like to tap off the excess and then just slowly build up the colour. It does take a little bit longer, but I prefer the results. Now just to darken up the tops of those hearts, I'm using my Blueprint sketch on a slightly smaller brush, which helps me get a little more control. And again, I'm always bringing back that top panel just to make sure I'm getting the colour in the right place and I'm happy with how everything is looking. Just line that up over the top and I'm happy. I do want to darken up those tops of those hearts just a touch. So bring back that Blueprint sketch just to darken up a little. I'm happy with that, so I take a little bit of water in my hand and splash that over the top and then grab a paper towel to soak up the excess to create some distressed spots. I've smushed on my 2 ink pads on my glass media mat and I'm using this Cosmic Shimmer Pixie Powder to create some splattery shimmery effect. I'm using this paintbrush from IKEA. It came in a set and I love it for splatter. It's the perfect size bristles and it's flat and it's cheap, so I love this little brush for that. So I'm just watering down those inked smooshes and splattering that on. Now I'm taking my Copic Opaque White and I'm going to do the same thing, water that down, same paintbrush and splatter that on. Clear up my workspace and set that aside to dry, and I'm bringing in that same brush which I use for the peacock feathers. I'm not inking my brush up again, I'm just using exactly the same brush. Exactly the same amount of ink, but because I'd smooshed most of it or blended most of it on the back panel, I'm just using what's left over to ink up these hearts and give a little definition. I did decide that I thought the edges of my card needed a little bit of colour as well, so I did bring back out that ink pad, brush off the excess and then apply it to the edge of my card. And I'm happy with how that's starting to look, so I can move on to my colouring. My mum loves elephants along with teal and aqua, hence the colour of the card today. But I'm using the Jungle Littles Hello Bluebird stamp set because I really love the little elephant in this set. I'm using my warm grey markers to colour it up, starting from darkest to lightest, then back in with the darkest down to the lightest again. Quite simple colouring, just trying to get a nice even blend between colours. Just trying to add some darker spots where there would be natural shading. So behind the ears, top of the head, underneath of the trunk. Now just going in with a few different pinks. I couldn't quite get the colour I wanted. I didn't want anything too bright. I'm just adding some that to the cheeks and the inside of the ears and then adding a few little dots to the elephant to give some texture. And then run that through the Big Shot with those coordinating dies. Now I can move on to the back of the heart panel. I'm applying some double-sided adhesive quite liberally, removing that release paper with my craft knife. Then I've cut a piece of acetate all ready to size and I'm just going to secure that down and press securely to that double-sided adhesive. Now I can move on to my sentiment. I'm using the Happy Birthday die by Hello Bluebird. I'm just removing those pieces from my die cutting plate and I'm going to save that birthday for another project. Just grabbing some post-it tape on that happy die or the negative piece and then popping those letters back in. And this is going to help me to ink blend some colour on. So just grab the Y there, grabbing those same colours so that everything looks coordinated. And I want to have an ombre effect from top to bottom. So I want the bottom of the letters to be pretty much white, and then the top of the colours sort of blending into this nice teal blue colour. So always starting at the top, and naturally as my ink comes off my brush, as I move down, the colour gets lighter. So I used the Blueprint sketch as well for that. And then I did grab my post-it tape and put that on the front of the letters because I thought this would be a better way to help adhere this to the front of the card when I'm ready. But I'm using that happy die cut there to help me stamp the Mother's Day sentiment. I'm using the Occasional Labels by Mama Elephant. Popped it into my MISTI and just masking off the word happy with some post-it tape. Using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink here to stamp down this word Mother's Day. I did think I had a different stamp set. This wasn't my first choice, but it is all I had. And overall, I'm quite happy with how it turned out. So I just like to do this a couple of times just to get a nice impression. And then I can flip over that word happy, pop some adhesive. This is liquid adhesive, Gina K Connect glue. And then I can pop the word happy down onto my card front. I'm using the edge of the card with that H of the happy to make sure everything's straight. And then slowly peel up that post-it tape, and that's now secured to the front of my card. Couldn't find my embossing buddy, but I've liberally applied foam tape to the back of my card front here, and I'm using my embossing bag and again another makeup brush that I use for crafting purposes just to help remove any static and sticky from that foam tape. And now I can start adhering my project together. I've got a white A2 size card base here, and I'm going to again using that Gina K Connect glue to adhere that panel to the card base. For my confetti pieces, or my shaker pieces, I'm using this Nuvo Pure Sheen confetti, and turquoise stars and aquamarine flakes, and some chunky iridescent glitter from my stash. Just using the back of this spoon here to help me get a nice controlled amount of shimmer. Possibly could have used a little bit more. My foam tape is quite low profile and I didn't really want to get anything stuck and cover up that lovely background we had created. So I decided to go with less in this instance. But when you shake it, you can definitely see those lovely sparkles. So removing the foam tape, release paper and securing everything down, pressing along those foam taped pieces so that my sequins don't escape. Pop some liquid adhesive on the back of my elephant here and pressing that down, making sure he's nicely adhered. I've got some white dots on the cheeks with a white gel pen, and I've used a black glaze pen just to accent the eyes. I've added some sea glass jewels by Pretty Pink Posh to the front of the card, just because my mum loves sparkle and I personally love sparkle too. I'm using my quick stick tool and some liquid adhesive, and I did feel at this point that my elephant looked a little bit lost. He needed something to be sitting on, so I've used the Tropical Foliage die, again by Mama Elephant. And I'm sorry you're so close here, but I'm using those blending brushes again just to add some colour to the base of these leaves. Just using some sweeping motions to get a nice smooth blend. I've got some nice shimmer spritz here, and I'm going to use that in this little box. Just spritz that on and set that aside on some paper towel. I have also heat embossed on vellum with white embossing powder some little vines. These are also from the Jungle Little stamp set by Hello Bluebird. Pop my acrylic block on top of them to help secure them down, and now I can adhere on these little other leaves. pop those on. My reverse tweezers have come in really handy for this project. There are quite a lot of small little pieces. I'm just waiting for that glue to dry. I tried not to handle it too much because I didn't want any glitter to come off. And just to cover up that centrepiece there, I've used a little heart embellishment using my quick stick tool again and some liquid adhesive. Get that nice and straight. And I think that finished off my card really nice. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial today. If you were interested in any of the products, I have them listed and linked down below. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.